Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sisterly Podcast. You're here with your co-hosts, Olivia and Rebecca, and we're so excited to be back with another episode. And this episode is all about hot girl summer.
As Megan Thee Stallion said.
Yeah, we did.
It's a hot girl summer.
It's a hot girl summer. We did just listen to it just to get into the vibe of hot girl summer. I do have to say, I didn't realize that came out in 2019. It's been a minute.
I know. Well, 2020 was all a blur.
That's true.
And so it feels like that was like last year, but it's like it wasn't.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Had a year in between.
But you know what? It aged well.
It did. Still applicable.
Still the vibe. We're excited this week to talk to you a little bit about kind of the part that's almost a little stressful about hot girl summer, which is body image and how we feel about ourselves, especially coming out of a 1.5 year long pandemic.
And so just a little disclaimer that this particular episode is going to touch on body image, body issues. So if that's something that you don't like hearing about, very fair. Feel free to skip to the end where we have a different segment, or catch us on the next episode.
Yeah, definitely a sensitive topic and not one that everyone wants to talk about. So no judgment if you switch this off. Go watch something else. Go watch some Real Housewives. Go watch the new Gossip Girl. You never know.
But then come back to us.
Next time.
So everyone's heard, well, most people have heard the phrase hot girl summer.
If not, take a pause.
Yeah, pause, go listen to Megan Thee Stallion, and then come back, and you'll know what we're talking about. But with that phrase can come some pressure to look a certain way or to feel like your body needs to be bikini ready or you have to have some sort of quote summer body. There have been a lot of fun like TikToks and memes lately about that are more positive that are like, how do you have a summer body? Have a body. It's summer.
Yeah.
There you go.
Bikini
or like
body.
a beach body.
Yeah.
Take your body to the beach.
Yeah. Bikini
There
body.
you
Have a bikini, have a body.
But even with this, more positive side to it and people trying to uplift, it feels like women and girls still have a lot of anxiety about summertime, wearing a bathing suit shopping, showing more skin, feeling like you're a little bit on display sometimes at the beach or wearing different clothes.
And I think what makes it particularly hard too is it's just been a really hard 1.5 years. It's been a year of not a lot of movement, a lot of sitting inside.
Everyone's pale.
Everyone's
Everyone's forgot how to be social.
It's hard to be social. Like, also, just not putting on these types of clothes in a while. Like, not putting on bathing suits in a really long time.
It's been a strictly jogger's uniform for me for the past year.
Not having other people see you or your body in a really long time. Like, there's a long period there. It was just me and my boyfriend. Only us seeing each other for a very long time. And all of a sudden, I think you can become hyper aware when you're around a group of people that, like, wow, these people haven't seen me in a while. And now they're not only seeing me, but they're seeing me in a bathing suit.
Feels like a lot of pressure when, like, maybe you're not feeling your best. Maybe you are. Maybe you crushed it during the pandemic
maybe you're
and you
great.
are looking the best you ever have. And if so, well done.
Yeah, maybe you're feeling the best you ever had. And that's wonderful. That's what we all want. But if you relate to us in any way of just being a little stressed this summer, you're not alone. And that's why we wanted to talk about this, because both Rebecca and I have been feeling a little stressed. We both had a moment where we texted each other and we went, oh, just tried to put on a pair of my jeans and they didn't go up my legs.
They would not close.
So if that's you, you're not alone. And it's kind of a scary feeling.
But it's fine.
It's fine.
Nothing's wrong with you.
There's nothing wrong with you, and that's why we kind of wanted to talk about it. Just because I think we both hit a moment of panic when that happened, but it was nice having each other to talk about it.
To be like, this is fine, and also this happened to me, too.
Right. And also, like, Rebecca and I look very different. Like, we're two completely different builds, like, body types, whatever, and, like, we're both going through it. And so I think it can really happen to you at any age, any body type, like, whatever. It's been a year.
Yep. And so we wanted to chat a little bit about our sort of like body image history and then talk about ways in which hopefully you can embrace yourself this summer and feel good and what makes us feel good when we're like having moments of stress or panic about our bodies.
Totally. And I'm happy to talk about this today too, because in like all honesty, I've been going through a really rough period. I would say like the past 6 months with just my body and body image, just feeling a little not myself, a little out of place almost in my own skin, which has been hard. And I think talking about it can sometimes be a little therapeutic, and empowering when you try to, I don't know, look at it from a different perspective or not let it have such a hold over you. So if there's anyone else out there feeling this way. So yeah, just talking a little bit about where we kind of come from and our own perspectives on body image. I remember the first time I ever noticed really my body and what it looked like. And I was 10 years old, and I went to the doctor, and I remember her telling me that I was in like the 89th percentile for weight for my age. And I was like, oh, okay. And she started talking to me about all these things about like, you know, what I could do to change my diet. And like, I remember she said something about like, you know, don't live to eat, eat to live. Which we can unpack that for a while. And I just remember feeling like...
Also, like also implies that like you at 10 years old were like living to eat.
Yeah, I was 10.
It's like you're like, no, I'm just a child.
Right. And so I remember it was just like this really devastating feeling of just like, oh, like something's wrong with me.
Yeah.
And that
like
was...
you can feel like judgment as well.
Yeah. Especially too from like an adult and a doctor. You're like, oh, okay. Like this wasn't just like a mean girl at school. This was like a medical professional telling me like, we got to watch your weight. I remember her telling me too, like I used to talk about what I like fruits I like to eat. And I was like, oh, I like to eat grapes. And she was like, well, don't eat too many of those. There's a lot of sugar in them.
Yeah.
A lot of damaging things were said. And so, you know, all of a sudden I became really aware, and it kind of, you know, I'm not trying to blame it all on this one doctor. I'm sure this moment would have happened for me later on in life if it hadn't been that moment. But I think that's what kind of, you know, was the catalyst of my body image issues and lack of confidence. And, you know, I can remember every single moment of when someone said something to me or about my weight, or I felt really insecure. I'm not going to get into every one of those tonight. But, you know, I think a lot of people can relate to that. You can almost remember like every moment that happened. But it's been a struggle for me for the past, you know, 14 years. And I've had better moments. I've had worse moments. I've had, you know, my weight has fluctuated a lot. I've tried to do different diets or, you know, different meal plans or whatever. And it's like, you know, not to sound cliche, but it's just a journey, and it's something that I continue to work on every day. Better days than others. But yeah, that's just a little bit about me.
And then my sort of history with body image or weight is like slightly different. When I was younger, I was like always naturally very small and just like a short person, a sort of thin person. And then when I hit puberty, I got, you know, slightly more curvy, and I would just find myself comparing myself to my friends who sort of didn't get more curvy. They just sort of stayed very stick-like, and I would be like, you know, noticing that I felt like I was snacking more than them or looked different than them. And when I was younger, I feel like I got a lot of validation out of people telling me that I was skinny or tiny or little, and that would make me feel really good. And then if they didn't tell me that, or they told me it less often, I would feel bad, or I would be afraid of losing that. And then as I got older, I started to focus more on how I didn't feel strong enough or toned enough. Like I have asthma, I'm a horrible runner, like I have no stamina, and I would feel really just like out of shape and sort of schlubby. Like I did ballet, I did tennis, but I still couldn't run well. I couldn't lift anything. Couldn't do a single push-up. Still can't do a regular push-up.
Hey, we're working on it.
We're working on those chest muscles.
We're both working on them.
Working on it hard. And so, you know, as time's gone on, my goals have changed from not just being like, oh, I want people to tell me I'm skinny, but to be like, I want to increase my strength. I want to feel strong. I want to feel like I can push myself or challenge myself to do something, and seek out activities that make me feel more confident.
Yeah, and I think this has really come to kind of like a critical point the past few months as we've all been vaxxed. Love that for us.
Vaxxed and ready for our hot girl summer.
Yeah, vaxxed, not waxed for me, but with the mentality of being vaxxed and waxed, ready for summer. But all of a sudden, I think, it kind of came to this point where I was like, oh, things are changing, and I'm seeing people, and oh my gosh, are they just looking at me? Do they know too that I can't fit into those jeans? Like, are they looking at me? It's almost like, the opposite of that TikTok where it's like, no one's gonna know. How would they know? It's like, everyone knows, like,
I feel like there's also just like this general anxiety almost about like everything opening back up. Like everyone's so excited obviously to like get back to normal and to see everyone, but at the same time it's like, oh shoot, like how do we see people? How do we do things in real life? Like how do things go back to normal? How do I have conversations with people? How do I just show up to the beach in a bathing suit anymore?
100%.
Like,
I think also too, I hold some resentment a little bit towards the people that I've seen that I'm like, you look the same as you did pre-pandemic, maybe even better.
Yeah.
I think I hold a lot of resentment towards those people, which isn't fair to them, but is my reality. And then I think I take that and I internalize it to myself of like, well, why didn't you do
right? Why didn't you
what
like
this
solve
person
world
did?
hunger and also
right
become a model during the
right? Why didn't I get a six-pack during this pandemic? Like what? But I think it's also hard too because I've always felt weird talking about my weight with my friends. Like, I think that's still a topic. Like, I'm so open with my friends, but that's like one topic that's still really uncomfortable for me to talk about. I mean, Rebecca and I talk about it a lot. But I think it's hard too because
it's very vulnerable.
It's super vulnerable.
Because to talk about it is to admit that you like worry about it. And then it's like you also don't want to draw that attention to other people or admit that this is a thing that you like think about, or you don't want to be self-critical, but it's also like
I don't want people to start seeing the pouch that I see, right? And if you bring it up, it's like, oh god, now are they going to see it?
Right.
Also, sometimes it's hard too because then you have to have this conversation of like, I compare myself to you a lot, like with your friends,
and you don't want to come off as like, oh, I'm fishing for compliments. You're just like, I'm just trying to be like, yeah, I'm having a hard time with this, but like you don't need someone to then be like, you're perfect, you're amazing. Like, I mean, sometimes that's nice, but sometimes it's like that's not what I'm even looking for. It's just like I'm struggling with this thing.
Right, and that's also the thing too. There's no solve for it from another person.
Right, right. No one else can actually fix it for you.
You don't have the right answer for anyone, and no one has the right answer for me if I try to talk to them about it.
Yeah.
But all that to say is, this is how we're feeling. Like, this is our baseline. But it's hot girl summer.
Mm-hmm. Despite that, we're having a hot girl
summer.
We're
having a hot girl summer. We're going to do it because we deserve it.
We do. And so do you.
And so do you. And so, with that said, what does hot girl summer mean? What does it mean to us? What does it mean to you?
What is a hot girl?
What is a hot girl?
We've decided it's a state of mind. It's a vibe. It's confidence. It's joy.
It's joy. And I feel
it's not what you look like.
It's not what you look like. I do have to say, like, sometimes I've been trying to follow more body inclusive like people on social media, and I've noticed a lot of times, like, no matter a person's size, they look so wonderful when you can just like see their joy. Mm-hmm. And it's hard. I mean, we're not always joyous. I'm not trying to say that,
happy.
But like,
we're not always in the best mood.
People's joy like radiates off of them, and so I think like it's really just trying to bring that energy to yourself whenever you can.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I feel like I've been trying to also remind myself of just like deep appreciation for my body and like what it's done for me. Like, it got me through this past like it's got me through my whole life, but it's got me especially through this past year and a half. Like, I've been healthy, like it's been taking care of me, and it's just like I don't get to punish it for doing a great job. Like,
yeah. And sometimes I think about it too, like it's so hard, and I've been this way, like spending my whole life being angry at or rejecting the body that I'm in that's like carried me throughout my life and will have to continue to carry me, Right. It's almost like shitting on the earth for like how it looks
Right.
when it's housed us, you know, like when it
exactly.
provides us life and resources.
Yeah.
But it's just like,
You don't
not
look
look,
cute in
you
that.
do not look, that rain does not look good on you. You know, and
Yeah.
maybe it's a silly comparison, but I think it's really true. Like, this is the one body we have, and we have to give it some appreciation at some point.
Yep. So what are some ways, Olivia, that you are having a hot girl summer? How are you feeling joyous?
I would say first and foremost, it's really hard. And I want to just be really like transparent about that, because it's really hard for me and it's something that I continue to struggle with, but I'm really trying because I'm so excited about this summer and what's already happened this summer and what's going to continue to happen, because I can be with my friends again. I can go on vacations. I can do fun stuff. So I think one thing I'm doing to enjoy my hot girl summer is first and foremost, like, trying to live it to the fullest by planning those vacations, spending time with my friends, being outside, going to the beach, even though it brings me a lot of anxiety, like still doing it because I deserve it. And my body deserves to be in a bathing suit, no matter what I might think of myself or what others may or may not think about me. Like, I still deserve to go to the beach and to enjoy it. So I'm still planning those things. So that's one thing that I'm doing. I think the other thing that I'm trying to do more is, I mean, social media is like really ingrained in all of our lives and it can be really toxic. I think even when I try to make it better for myself, there's still some toxicity there, just in like everything being so image based. But I'm trying to follow accounts and people that are either like more body positive in terms of all types of bodies, even just following people who kind of look more like me, like in general, just realizing like, oh, hey, there are people that have like my body type, you know, like, and I think they're beautiful. So like, why am I so mean to myself? Or just like companies that really embrace all body types, not like just the companies that have like the normal section and the plus size section.
Right, but like actually have diverse models, different body sizes, and like they're all featured. It's not like someone's in the middle and there's like a side person who like looks slightly different.
Right. Or it's like, go to our other section of the website for like this sizing. No, it's like all women are together. All women are created equal. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm working on.
Love it. I feel like what I've been working on is just trying to find a way to move my body that makes me feel confident or strong. So for me lately, I've been trying to do more weight training and like doing exercises like that. I've been going on long walks with my dog Maya, and that's been fun. Gets me outside, gets me moving. I'm not a jogger. I never have been. Maybe one day, but I don't know if it's in the cards for me. But recommend that for other people who like it. If you like moving your body that way, that is great. I like playing tennis, so like things like that. So I think ways that you can sort of get out there and find an activity that at the end of it makes you feel really like strong or accomplished, or like you did something and like your body did it for you, like it was supporting you in that endeavor. Like Olivia's been doing a lot of hikes.
Yeah, big hiking gal. And I think the reason I like them too is they feel like an accomplishment, and less so because of how many calories I've burned, but because like
just like did a cool thing and like got to a spot and like
I also think it's so important too to like listen to your body, because I think sometimes it's hard too. It's like, oh my god, it's summertime, we gotta work out, we gotta but like instead of just asking yourself like, what would feel good today, like what's something that I would enjoy, what's something that's maybe new or different or I can do with a friend, or like you know, Rebecca and I have been we're actually together for once, which is thrilling, and we've just been, you know, doing some movement together just because it's like fun and it's something for us to do together and enjoy and laugh, and we did like a dancing video today, which
it was super fun. I had all these throwback songs,
so fun, and like, you know, we both used to dance when we were kids, and like it's fun to just have a moment to kind of engage in that again. So I think it's so important to find a way to kind of just move your body and be happy.
Okay, so with that, that was our chat about Hot Girl Summer. I hope you're having one. If you're not, I hope you're finding ways to be kind to yourself and be proud of yourself. We're proud of you. And this brings us to a segment that we are going to have called Sisterly Advice. We want to provide a community for you all, like Olivia and I have for each other, where we can often discuss important issues, things that are bothering us, things that we're thinking about. And I often go to Olivia or she comes to me for some sisterly advice. So if any listeners have any topics or something that they could use some advice on or want a sisterly take, feel free to DM us on Instagram
At sisterlypod.
at sisterlypod, and we would be happy to give you our sisterly advice for whatever it's worth.
And what's great about sisterly advice is that it's honest. Because I think sometimes you can go to your friends for advice and look,
And they might just hype you. That's
they
fine.
might just hype you, and it depends on the friend. I mean, sometimes friends come to me for advice and I'm like, I'm gonna give you like supportive advice.
Yeah.
But when my sister asks me for advice, I give honest advice. Or even sometimes I'll be like, what kind of advice do you want? Right
Yeah,
now?
sometimes you gotta be real and be like, do you just want me to support you right now? Or
Right.
like, do you want my real thoughts?
Right. And I would say most of the time we want each other's real thoughts. And I think...
Sometimes you just want to rant to someone though and just have them be like, yep, you're right. You're
Right. Yes. So I think one thing that we wanted to talk about, just to kick it off, with sisterly advice, is kind of on the same topic of what we were talking about, but just how do I not compare myself to my friends? And I think that can be in a variety of ways. I think, on today's theme, like, how do I not compare myself in my looks physically to my friends, but also just in general? How do I not compare myself,
like success-wise,
like
career stuff, like
relationships, like in any way? Like, how do I, separate myself in comparisons from other people?
Yeah, I feel like it's important to try to remember, like, that you can feel, envy or comparison and still be happy for your friend or something. Like as long as you're still being really supportive of them, if you're feeling those feelings of envy or comparison, like, it's really a reflection of something that you have to work through. So it's like, okay, why am I comparing? Why am I feeling less than over something? And getting to the root of sort of what that is.
Yeah, I think it's so important to, like, notice those feelings. Like, wow, I'm really going into comparison mode here, or I'm really starting to get to, like, a negative place, and just, like, acknowledge that. Maybe you sit with it.
Yeah.
Maybe you try to move past it.
Or maybe you think about, like, okay, I have this feeling, I've identified it. Is it helping me?
Yeah.
Like, is it helpful? Maybe not. Like, maybe if it motivates you to do something that you've been, like, procrastinating and you're like, I've really been meaning to get to this thing, like, maybe I get to it. But if you're sitting with that feeling and it's not making you feel better, it's making you feel worse, then that's not helpful.
Totally. And maybe too, you can ask yourself, like, why do I think I'm feeling this way? Like, maybe you and your friend are competitive in a way that's not healthy.
Yeah.
Like,
and if so, maybe you need some boundaries there to be like, this is not a thing for us to discuss, or you know.
I remember I once had an issue with my friend. We were studying abroad together, and I remember I got, like, really jealous that she was, I think, like, I'd gone away for a weekend or whatever, and she had, like, a group chat with our other friends, and I wasn't in it because they were making plans and I wasn't there. But I remember I was, like, I was starting to get really competitive of like, oh my god, like, who is she friends with, who am I friends with? And I honestly, I just, like, went to her and I was like, I'm being a little crazy right now, but I'm feeling really insecure, and I feel like I'm starting to, like, compare us and, like, who we're friends with. And she was just like, we talked it out. And I think it was good that I brought it to her, and she was like, listen, the only reason we had this group chat was, like, you weren't here, like, whatever. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the resolution was, but like I went to her, I talked to her, and it ended up being a lot better than me just like stewing on that comparison,
right, and like
forever.
creating a whole scenario in your head.
Yeah.
I feel like it's also important to keep in mind when comparison comes up, especially like physically or like career, like success wise. It's just like everyone has such a unique life experience, and like the things that another person have had to deal with are probably very different than the things that you've had to deal with. And like, you know, maybe you don't even know about things that they've been going through that are difficult as well, but you can't compare. It's like comparing apples and oranges. Like you've had different life experiences, you have maybe different support networks, you have different life interests, you have different genetics and environments, and it's just you can't be expected to look the same or be the same or have the same results as somebody else. And in the end, we wouldn't really want that. Like if everyone was like this one ideal person, it wouldn't be very interesting.
Completely agree. And I think that's advice that's sometimes easy to give and hard to take.
It's like you know that, but it's like hard to remember that.
I think also too, like if sometimes that comparison turns into envy or like anger towards someone else, like maybe try to associate that feeling with like something you like about your friend. Like, I don't know, if you're comparing someone and like how they look compared to you, like maybe you can instead reframe it as like, this friend always like hypes me up or always like compliments me, or I don't know, like, you know, just try to like turn it into a positive so you're not holding on to this like resentment towards somebody else. Because like, you know, comparing physically how one person looks to another adds no benefit, 'cause it's not like they're doing it intentionally to hurt you. Like,
but if someone is actually comparing themselves like explicitly to you, or just like putting you down or whatever, that's not a real friend.
No.
That's some toxic behavior.
Yeah, I'm sorry. If you have any friend that's commenting on how you look in a negative way, cut them out.
Yeah.
I mean, you could try to have a conversation with them first.
Yes, you could try being direct and just being like, I really don't appreciate when you compare us or our looks or our successes. Like, I'm happy for you, but I don't know why you need to put me down in order to feel better or something like that.
Right. Or if you have a friend that's comparing like other people in front of you, like in like a judgmental way. It's like you and your friend are out to lunch and she's like, oh my God, did you see like what that person was wearing or like what that person looked like? Like, that's not someone you want to be around either, because that's going to seep into you. And then,
like, you get pulled into being a part of those conversations where you're judging or comparing other people, and that's just...
You never leave those feeling good.
No.
So hopefully some of those tips were helpful in terms of how not to compare. If you have any other things that you do to make sure that you're not comparing yourself to your friends or your family or your coworkers in a negative way, let us know. We'd love to share. So yeah, thanks for coming along this journey with us today and talking about hot girl summer.
Thanks for joining. Thanks for listening, and catch us on our next episode.